In our headlines on this Tuesday afternoon, March 12th, here in South Korea. Professors of medicine are poised to take action amid the deepening divide between government authorities and junior doctors who remain engaged in a massive walkout, prompting an emergency healthcare deployment. In their latest threat assessment report, U.S. intelligence authorities reaffirmed North Korea's commitment to nuclear weapons and its hopes for recognition as a nuclear state through military collaboration with Russia. And speaking of Russia, a Korean man detained in the country earlier this year will remain in custody on charges of espionage until mid-June, marking the first such arrest of a South Korean national by the Kremlin. Tensions here looking to escalate as professors of medicine pledge action in response to the prolonged standoff between government authorities and junior doctors who continue to protest plans to raise medical school admissions quota. Our Shin Se-byuk has the latest.
With South Korea now in the fourth week of a mass walkout by trainee doctors, the government is scrambling to mitigate the resulting medical staff shortages. On Monday, the Ministry of Health and Welfare deployed a total of 158 personnel, including 20 military doctors and 138 doctors from public health centers to 20 general hospitals for 4 weeks. These military doctors will start working from Wednesday after completing training. The Health Ministry also plans to deploy around 200 more public health doctors by next week. As of Monday, the government sent advance notices of license suspensions to over 5,500 trainee doctors who have not returned to their posts despite a return-to-work order. Despite these measures, the situation may escalate as medical professors plan to join the protest. The Medical Professors Association of Korea is set to convene on Thursday to discuss the mass boycott of classes by medical students and the ongoing issue of absentee trainee doctors. The discussion will likely focus on repercussions for the students, including the possibility of giving students a failing grade for the semester, as well as the medical faculty's potential unified response. Separately, 5 leading hospitals in Seoul are also setting up meetings to examine the possibility of joint action and perhaps other issues, signaling a broader wave of protests within the healthcare community. In fact, all medical professors at Seoul National University announced on Monday their intention to resign en masse next Monday unless the government addresses the mass walkout by trainee doctors. Health Minister Cho Kyu-hong in a briefing on Tuesday expressed deep concern over the decision, saying it would put patients at risk.
We express grave concerns over the collective decision by medical professors at Seoul National University because it threatens the lives and health of patients.
Meanwhile, the government on Tuesday launched a reporting center within the Ministry of Health and Welfare. This aims to ensure a safe return to work for trainee doctors who may fear being publicly identified and subjected to group harassment. The government stressed its commitment to firmly addressing any threats of retaliation against those doctors. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
On the security front, in their latest annual risk report, American intelligence authorities say North Korea remains strongly committed to its nuclear weapons ambitions and seeks nuclear state recognition through military collaboration with Russia. Our Lee Seung-jae has details.
Each year, the U.S. Director of National Intelligence releases its threat assessment report, analyzing the different threats the U.S. faces from other countries. In its latest edition of the report, released on Monday, it analyzed the current situation with North Korea, indicating that the regime's leader has no intention of engaging in nuclear negotiations and is trying to achieve its status as a nuclear state, recognized through close military ties with Russia. The report said that Kim Jong-un has no intention of negotiating to dismantle the nuclear program as he considers nuclear weapons as a tool to guarantee the regime's security and a source of national pride. It further said that Kim will continue to pursue nuclear and conventional military capabilities that threaten the United States and its allies. Taking note of President Yoon Suk-yeol's hardline stance against North Korea, the report said North Korea has shown a higher frequency of missile provocations since the strengthening of trilateral military cooperation with Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo. The annual report stressed that the Kim regime will prioritize building a more powerful missile system, ranging from cruise missiles to intercontinental ballistic missiles and hypersonic missiles, while China and Russia help with supplying materials and technology needed to achieve that goal. The report also assessed threats posed by China and Russia. In regards to Beijing, it said that its economic rival has the ability to compete directly with the United States and its allies and threaten rules-based international order. It added that serious demographic and economic challenges facing China could transform it into a more aggressive and unpredictable actor. On the other hand, it said Russia is strengthening its relations with North Korea, China, and Iran, but does not want a direct military conflict with the United States and NATO. Still, it says that Russia remains a threat to a rules-based society, as shown by its invasion of Ukraine. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, over in Russia, authorities there reportedly arrested a South Korean national on charges of espionage earlier this year and will be keeping him behind bars until mid-June. Our An Sung-jin reports.
Russia has announced that it has arrested a South Korean national on suspicion of espionage. Russian state-owned news agency TASS reported on Monday that a man with the last name of Paek had been detained in the city of Vladivostok earlier this year and was transferred to Moscow last month for further investigation. It is the first reported arrest of a South Korean for alleged spying in Russia. Paek's detention period is until June 15th. No details have been provided on the nature of the alleged spying other than Paek allegedly being responsible for gathering and handing over intelligence to a foreign intelligence agency. Russian state media said that the South Korean citizen is being held inside Lefortovo, an infamous Russian prison where American Wall Street journalist Evan Gershkovich was also held. Those convicted for espionage can face up to 20 years imprisonment in Russia. The Foreign Ministry of South Korea said that though further details cannot be provided as it is an ongoing investigation, they're providing necessary support to the consulate in Russia. Paek is allegedly a civilian affiliated with a religious sector and entered Vladivostok through China in January. His wife had also been initially arrested but has been released and is currently in South Korea. Russia has designated South Korea as an unfriendly country following Seoul's support for Western sanctions against Moscow over the war in Ukraine. If Paek's release is further delayed or if he is convicted, this may lead to closer ties between Russia and North Korea, threatening the security on the peninsula. Amid rising security threats, the Swiss Federal Intelligence Service spokesperson noted that 1/3 of Russian diplomats in Switzerland are spies, making Geneva one of the most crucial hubs for information gathering. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
In other news, Ukraine has shared its discontent over remarks by Pope Francis regarding the possibility of a Ukrainian surrender to Russian invasion. In an interview with Swiss broadcaster RSI, the Pope reportedly called on Ukraine for, quote, courage of the white flag, appearing to allude to a surrender by Kyiv to Kremlin. The call has since been condemned by Ukraine and its allies, despite efforts by the Vatican to allay the anger by elaborating that the Pope was speaking of halting the violence through dialogue and not surrender. The surge in food prices here raced past that of overall inflation by a record margin last month. According to Statistics Korea, prices of fruits in February jumped over 40% on year. This jump stands in sharp contrast to the 3.1% rise in consumer price index last month. Pundits are blaming soaring fruit prices to low crop yield amid inclement weather. Korea's financial regulator has confirmed irregularities in sales of derivatives linked to a Hong Kong stock market index. Accordingly, the regulator has released a framework of recommendations for financial firms here for voluntary compensation to investors for their losses. Our Park Go-nu has details.
The Financial Supervisory Service announced compensation guidelines on Monday. based on an investigation into 11 financial institutes launched 2 months ago regarding losses incurred from derivative products of equity-linked securities tied to the Hang Seng China Enterprises Index. Investors have lost around 1.2 trillion won, or roughly $900 million so far, but is expected to possibly jump to nearly $4.6 billion from approximately 400,000 products invested in as of last year, if the Hong Kong H index remains at the 5,600 points level. The financial regulator said some investors could receive up to 100% in compensation from financial institutions, but some would possibly get nothing. This will be based on which side bears the most responsibility, the financial institute selling the ELS or the investor buying into the product. Financial institutes will be evaluated on criteria including whether they were mis-selling the product by not giving the appropriate explanation. However, this will be counterbalanced by the individual investor's knowledge and understanding of the product. The financial firm is deemed liable for 100% compensation if it deliberately misled inexperienced investors. On the other hand, those customers with the knowledge and experience of high-risk investments could be considered 100% responsible themselves, and so would receive no compensation at all. Cases in between these parameters would be evaluated on a roughly 50-50 percentage point basis. The regulator said companies can reach autonomous negotiated settlements with investors, but those unwilling to do this could submit their case to a dispute mediation committee to be set up in the future. But as the guidelines and committee procedures are not compulsory, there is the possibility of multiple lawsuits if neither the investor nor the financial firm reach an agreement. Park Gon-woo, Arirang News.
And the price of Bitcoin surpassed the $72,000 mark and hit another record high. According to U.S. crypto exchange Coinbase, the price of one Bitcoin traded at $72,087 as of noon Monday Eastern Standard Time, up 4.28% from a day earlier. At the same time, Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, surged past $4,000 for the first time since December 2021. Market experts are largely linking the strong performance to prospects of interest rate cuts by the U.S. Federal Reserve in the near future. On the silver screen, the latest sequel to the action series The Roundup is scheduled to show at theatres nationwide next month. And ahead of this event, its cast met with members of the media here to share thoughts about last month's formal invitation to the Berlin Film Fiesta. Our Kim Bo-kyung has more.
The 1-inch barrier of subtitles no longer seemed to matter. And we can see this with the Korean action comedy film The Roundup Punishment being enjoyed at the Berlin International Film Festival. The latest in the series premiered in Berlin's special gala category last month. Ma Dong-seok, also known as Don Lee, was able to show global movie lovers how Korean detectives can clobber justice into lawbreakers. It was the first time a Korean action series was invited to the Berlinale. Asked about how he felt during a press briefing on Monday ahead of the domestic release, Ma Dong-seok said he was proud to see how his worries over subtitles had been shattered.
1,600 tickets were all sold out for the premiere in Berlin, and I was worried whether international viewers would be able to grasp the humor well enough. But as I saw movie watchers laughing out loud and clapping at the highlights, I could feel they were well delivered.
Already the fourth in the series, some say it cannot help but be somewhat formulaic. Heo Myung-hae, the action choreographer for the first 3 films, was in the director's chair for the latest. And to tackle any such concerns, he added more noir-like elements to show stronger and more intense action.
When the villains come out, I wanted to create a solid, noir-like atmosphere, while for the detective scenes, I introduced a more cheerful tone. I did the same with stage design and arrangement, and music to give it a different vibe as well. I hope viewers can enjoy these 2 distinct tones for each team, the detective and villains.
After The Outlaw first came out, the sequels The Roundup and The Roundup No Way Out kept proving to be big hits, both garnering more than 10 million viewers. Can this 4th installment of the Roundup series not only quench original fans' thirst for comedy and action, but also win over a new audience? Moviegoers will be able to find out when it hits local theaters on April 24th. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
In today's segment of the interview, we shed light on the government's efforts to offer structured and systematic support to local startups and SMEs for whom globalization is now a survival strategy. Our business correspondent Lee Soo-jin reports.
Globalization is no longer a choice, but a necessity for many South Korean small and mid-sized businesses and startups. Ministry of SMEs and Startups Oh Young-ju said this is what many local businesses told her during her on-site visits over the past 2 months, and is why the government is revamping existing policies. Oh gave us a preview of what these new policies will entail.
First, we have to focus on the changing landscape of trade, so the technology-related activities as well. The second one is that but this is much more important. We have to provide customized support tailored for their specific needs of each and every startups and the SMEs. The last one, how we can provide this kind of assistance in a very systematic manner.
One form of this assistance is the so-called Global Innovation Special Zones that will help businesses outside Seoul expand more easily abroad by alleviating regulatory constraints.
We will apply a negative regulation system. This is very innovative approach. So they can try everything, actually, So innovation can thrive free from all kind of regulations in that district. And also we will provide some kind of a global level demonstration and also certification process.
So what you said about the negative regulation sounds like they will help these companies, these SMEs and startups to develop new products, which, as you said, will help them expand, more easily expand them into the global market. But also at the same time, SMEs and startups, especially those in the tech industry, for a while now, they've been struggling with labor shortages. So what are some measures that the ministry has in place this year to mitigate this issue?
So this year we launched a new policy program to bring in some talented people from India and Vietnam. Maybe around 400 people will come to the Korea. So we will select them very carefully and also provide us the training program tailored to the specific needs of the companies.
This new policy holds a special personal significance for the minister, as she previously served as South Korea's ambassador to Vietnam, during which she witnessed firsthand the demand for what local businesses have to offer.
I want to ask, during your time as an ambassador, for example, to Vietnam, did you feel like there was a real interest in Korean SMEs and startups?
Definitely. Actually, around 9,000 Korean companies now working in Vietnam, most of them the SMEs and startups. This is the whole area now the MSS, our ministry, is really focusing on how we can promote their capacity, global capacity, which encompasses everything, and also how we can enable them to go to the global market in a very easily manner. This is all related to our new strategy.
Minister Oh added that the new strategy for globalization to help SMEs and startups expand their customer base beyond local borders will be announced in late April or early May. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. Muslims worldwide gathered at local mosques on Monday for the evening mass prayers called Taraweh, marking the first night of Ramadan. Many wish for peace in Gaza and prosperity in communities. In Jakarta, Indonesia, people crowded into the Istiqlal Mosque, the biggest mosque in Southeast Asia. Indonesia has the largest Muslim population within a single country in the world. Most Muslim countries started Ramadan on Monday, but some countries such as Oman start Ramadan on Tuesday. During the month of Ramadan, Muslims pray 6 times a day, which is 1 more than usual. In Germany, An American tourist was sentenced to life in prison on Monday for the rape and murder of a female tourist and the attempted murder of her friend. The brutal crime took place near one of Germany's most famous tourist destinations, the Neuschwanstein Castle. Both of the victims were also from the United States. The judge at the court in Kempten, in the south of the country, noted that the crime was of particular gravity, meaning the 31-year-old man, known only as Troy B., will not be granted automatic parole after 15 years, which is given for non-aggravated murders in Germany. According to his lawyer, he most likely will not apply to serve his sentence in the United States, as conditions of detention are better in Germany. In Switzerland, helicopters were seen searching an area near the Matterhorn mountain on Monday amid efforts to find a skier after other members of a missing ski party were found dead. 5 bodies were found on Sunday, with authorities saying the cause of death was most likely from catastrophic conditions involving avalanches, snowstorms, and extremely low temperatures, adding that an investigation is underway. Police say that 5 of the 6-member ski group were from the same family, with ages ranging from 21 to 58. Authorities also said the group had set out in relatively good conditions on Saturday. The incident is believed to be the most deadly in the Swiss Alps in recent years. In entertainment news, at Crufts Dog Show in Birmingham, UK on Sunday, the top prize was won by an Australian Shepherd called Viking. The 3-year-old Australian Shepherd was crowned Best in Show on the last day of the 4-day event, where around 20,000 dogs of different breeds competed to show off their skills and abilities. Zen, a Jack Russell Terrier, won reserve Best in Show, taking home the 2nd place prize. Crufts Dog Show is an annual international dog show held in the United Kingdom since 1891. Kim Jong-un, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Spring rain soaks most of Korea today. Rain that started in the capital has spread to the rest of the country. The amount will not be that much. Gyeongsang-Namdo province could see 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. Jeju to receive 5 to 20 millimeters. Meanwhile, the mountainous regions in Gangwon-do province could see up to 5 centimeters of snowfall. Precipitation will let up from up north and will be completely gone by this evening. Today's rain will not affect the temperatures much. Readings continue to stay above season norms in most places. This afternoon, Seoul and Gwangju top out at 11 degrees, Daegu topping out at 13 degrees Celsius. Despite the light precipitation, this round of rain helped to ease the dryness in the air. Sunny skies return tomorrow, and it will remain sunny through the rest of the week and into the weekend for most places. Afternoon temperatures will also rise as the week goes on and will peak at 16 degrees by Saturday in Seoul. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions. And that ends our Tuesday afternoon newscast. Coming up next is our daily panel session, and today we speak with our foreign journalists about the latest regional headlines. So do stay with us.